My relationship with my parents, Eleanor and Victor, had always been rocky, but I spent years convincing myself it was survivable, tolerable. They never hit me, never kicked me out. But they used silence like a knife and favoritism like a noose. When I had my son, Leo, something changed. I saw everything more clearly. The way my mom used guilt to control, the way my dad gave his love out like rations earned through obedience. I told myself I wouldn't let them near Leo until I saw proof they had changed. For years, I kept them at a polite distance. Then came the fire. Not literal, but close. My landlord's wiring failed and our apartment was declared unlivable. Just like that, Leo and I were between homes. Insurance would cover a hotel, but the wait list for family housing was long. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. My mom called the next day. "Bring Leo here," she said. "We've got room." I hesitated. "It'll only be a few days. We'll treat him like our own," she said, like she was doing me a favor. My dad grunted in the background. "Just until you get back on your feet." Leo was 7. He liked reading, hated loud noises, and loved peanut butter and banana sandwiches. I packed enough groceries to last a week, printed his food allergies in bold letters, and kissed his forehead before leaving. I didn't sleep that night. Something in me twisted, and I couldn't explain why. By the third day, Leo's voice sounded different on the phone, quiet, tired. I asked what he'd eaten. He paused. "Some crackers," he said. "That's it. Papa said lunch is for family and I'm just visiting." The phone slipped from my hand. I drove through the night. When I arrived at their house the next morning, the first thing I noticed was the smell. Sausage, eggs, pancakes. My stomach turned. Leo sat at the far end of the kitchen table with an empty plate in front of him. My dad was halfway through a stack of pancakes. My mom was sipping coffee, reading a magazine. "Where's his food?" I asked. My mom didn't even blink. "He already ate." "No, I didn't," Leo whispered, head down. My dad snorted. "He had some crackers yesterday. He's not starving." I looked at my son, pale, sluggish, shrinking into himself like he was learning to be invisible. I turned to my mother. "Why would you say he's not family?" She rolled her eyes. "Because he's not. He's your kid. We didn't sign up for this." "He's 7, I said, my voice cracking. "You think punishing a child is normal?" My dad stood. "No one's punishing him, but he's not entitled to anything. Not like Sophie's kids. They're here every week." There it was. Sophie, my sister, the golden child. Her kids had entire bedrooms in this house. Meanwhile, my son was being starved like an unwelcome pet. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I walked to Leo, picked him up, and said quietly, "We're leaving." My mom called after me. "You're seriously making a scene over snacks." I didn't turn around. I didn't say goodbye. I never stepped foot in that house again. I took Leo to a diner first. He couldn't finish his pancakes. He said his stomach hurt. That broke me more than anything. At home, he wouldn't talk about it. Every time I brought it up, he shook his head and went quiet. He didn't understand why they treated him like that. And how could I explain that some people only love the image of family, not the reality? That night, I sat alone at the table and made a list. Things they love: Sophie's attention, their social reputation, their antique collection, my silence. That last one, my silence. That's what gave them power. And I was about to starve them of it. First, I started talking to everyone. Not online, not for attention, just small personal conversations. To my Aunt Maria, who always wondered why we were never invited to holidays. To my cousin James, who thought my parents were saints. To Sophie, who had no idea what happened. I didn't embellish. I didn't twist the story. I just told it plain. They didn't feed Leo for 2 days, I said. They told him he wasn't family. Every single person went quiet when I said that. Then came the shift. Sophie canceled her kids' next visit. Aunt Maria told her church friends. Cousin James offered to let Leo play with his kids instead. And suddenly, the invitations stopped coming. The praise stopped flowing. My parents called 3 days later. My mom's voice cracked. Why are people ignoring us? I didn't answer. My dad left a voicemail. You're ruining our name over what? Some crackers. I saved the voicemail, played it twice, then deleted it. They were starving, not from food, but from attention, from admiration, from the illusion that they were good people. And I wasn't done yet. The thing about starving someone isn't just about food. It's about denial. Denying them the comfort they once gorged on. Denying them the illusion that they matter. Denying them the one thing they always fed off, control. My parents were starving now. And they didn't even know the worst of it was still coming. It started with the calls. Dozens of them, then letters, then voicemails that cycled between threats and fake concern. My mom left one that said, "You're punishing us over a misunderstanding. That's not healthy." My dad followed with, "If you're going to ruin our reputation, at least let us explain our side." Their side? They told a 7-year-old child he wasn't family and then didn't feed him for 2 days. There is no side. Still, they tried to paint me as hysterical, sensitive, a troublemaker, the same labels they used on me growing up. But it wasn't working this time. People weren't buying it anymore. Not after I told the truth calmly and plainly to the exact people whose approval they craved. I could have stopped there. But then I remembered something. Something small, almost forgettable. When I was 15, my mom made me skip my best friend's birthday party to help her polish her teacup collection before her club guests came over. She said, "Image is everything. If we don't look put together, we're nothing." So, I started with that image. I waited until their annual community fundraiser, the one they hosted every year in their backyard, a charity barbecue for local firefighters with all the neighbors in attendance. My dad was always front and center, flipping burgers, taking photos like he was the mayor of suburbia. My mom floated around with pictures of lemonade and compliments. I didn't show up, but I did RSVP with a name they hadn't heard in years, Mrs. Evelyn Cross, my old 4th grade teacher. Sweet, forgetful, social media active. She never liked my parents much. Once told me in confidence, "You're a thoughtful girl, even if your parents seem more concerned with show than soul." I called her a week before the event and told her everything. Not with anger, not with blame, just the truth. They didn't feed Leo for 2 days, told him he wasn't family. Mrs. Cross's voice broke. What kind of people? The kind who throw charity barbecues while starving a child in their house. She showed up to the event wearing a t-shirt that said, "Family feeds even when it's hard." When my mom greeted her, she said loudly, "So sorry I didn't bring my grandson." I assumed children were only welcome if they're blood relatives. Or does that still not count in this house? People turned. Conversations stopped. My mom flushed. My dad tried to laugh it off. "You know how Evelyn is, such a firecracker." But she wasn't alone. 2 more neighbors, ones I'd spoken to, brought it up again later during speeches, casually, loud enough for others to hear. It wasn't sabotage. It was sunlight. I didn't have to ruin them. I just opened the blinds. They tried damage control. My dad called me, voice shaking for the first time. "Why are you turning people against us? We're your parents." "No," I said, "you're Sophie's parents. You made that clear." My mom left a final message that week. She didn't yell this time. She cried. "I made a mistake. I didn't think it would spread. I didn't think people would stop inviting us. It wasn't an apology. It was mourning. She was mourning the version of herself she could no longer sell to others. That's when I knew they weren't sorry for what they did to Leo. They were sorry people finally saw it. But I wasn't done because I hadn't yet touched what they truly loved most. There was one thing they treasured above all else, even more than their reputation. Not Sophie, not each other. It was the house, the one they bragged about to every neighbor, every visitor, every distant cousin who dropped by once a decade. A pristine colonial-style home my father inherited from his father. Spotless lawn, brick chimney, heirloom rose bushes planted in geometric rows. It was more than property to them. It was identity, legacy, proof that they'd done something right in life. And they used to say it all the time, this house will stay in the family forever. Funny, because now there were no more birthdays held there. No grandkids in the backyard. No framed photos of Leo or me on the fireplace mantel. Just silence, shame, and ghosts they pretended weren't theirs. So, I gave them one final gift. I sent them a package. Inside was a box of family photos. My childhood photos, the ones with them, cropped out. Leo's first day of school. Me and Leo at the zoo. All of them duplicated on thick glossy paper. Tucked on top was a letter handwritten. This is your family now, in pictures only. Look at them as long as you want because that's the closest you'll ever get again. You fed your pride more than you fed my child. You called him a visitor. Now you'll be strangers. This house will stay in the family forever. No, the family left the house and it's just a shell now. I never got a reply. But a week later, Sophie called. She said she drove over to visit and found the house dark, curtains drawn, blinds shut. They barely speak anymore, she said quietly. Dad just walks around in his slippers. Mom keeps trying to get people to come over, but nobody wants to. Good, I said. That means they're finally living like Leo did for those 2 days. She tried to defend them softly, like she didn't believe herself. They were raised a different way. So was I said, but I don't starve kids and call it discipline. Sophie never brought it up again. Time passed. Leo started smiling again, laughing, asking questions like, do birds get hungry when it rains and do grandmas always forget snacks? One day he asked, can we drive by their house? I looked at him. Why? I just want to see it. So we did. We stayed in the car, parked across the street. The yard was overgrown. The porch light flickered. A single curtain moved, but no one came out. Does anyone live there? He asked. I said, not really. We sat in silence for a while. Then Leo leaned his head on my shoulder. I'm not hungry anymore, he whispered. I kissed the top of his head. I know, baby. Neither am I. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.